everybody, it's that time again. Welcome to another live episode of The Grid. My name is Scott Kelby, and we are joined today by a very special guest. We're doing a very special episode. This is Thomas Grubba. Thomas, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Scott. Pleasure being here.
Glad to have you here. So you're
Thanks.
in town doing some real estate photography classes for us at Kelby One.
Yes.
And so we did our live photo critiques last week when you weren't here.
Okay.
But we're doing them again this week in an unprecedented
2 weeks in a row.
Back to back.
Crazy.
But I think with you being here, this is like a perfect thing for us to do. We don't get to do real estate photography, and we're going to let you do the critiquing today.
I'm looking forward to it. I like doing that. Yeah, that'll be good.
I'll talk a little bit about post-processing or whatever, but really, this is your bag.
All right.
I'm gonna run the controls for you, basically. But we're very excited to have you here. Thanks for coming on the Grid.
My pleasure. Thanks.
And for those of you who submitted images, we've got about 20 photographers we're going to endeavor to get through today. I do want to mention a couple things about the blind critique process for those of you who are watching the Grid for the first time new. We call them blind photo critiques because we don't ask for the photographer's name. The reason why we don't want the photographer's name and don't want to say their name is because we want to be able to give truthful, honest critiques. And in most of our lives, no one ever gives a truthful, honest critique. No one wants to tell you your stuff isn't good. No one wants to tell you your wife or your husband's not going to turn to you and go, honey, sell your gear. You're just not any good, you know. So if your husband or wife, your spouse isn't going to do it, and if your friends aren't going to do it, and your family's not going to do it, who's going to do it?
I am.
Thomas is going to do it.
I'll do it.
No, but now we're not doing it to be mean. Certainly, we're doing it to try to help.
Yeah.
And even if your stuff isn't critiqued, I hope that you'll learn from Thomas's notes on, well, here's what you need to do, and here's what, because we don't just tell you, well, yeah, your stuff's bad and you're done, or your stuff's good and we're done. If it's good, we're going to try to show why it's good.
Sure.
If it's bad, we're going to try to show how you can improve it. So the whole idea of this show is to make everybody's photography better. And so that's it. Hey, before we kick into the very first one here, well, the first one is interesting, and then we'll get on to the second one. I haven't told Thomas what it is.
Yeah, some surprise or something.
It's some surprise. Yeah? It's definitely interesting. But we do have some heartbreaking news. So our industry actually lost, I think, an icon and one of the most talented and brilliant photographers. Tim Mantuani, 47 years old, passed away this weekend. And I was stunned when I heard the news. I had no idea he was ill, but he had been battling cancer for a while. And if you've ever gone to the video game store and seen any of the amazing covers he's done for things like EA Sports and all the, the big covers of like Madden, NFL, and all that kind of stuff, he does all those covers. But for many, many years, he's been a hero of mine. I've talked about him on the Grid. Today, to honor his memory, I ran one of his guest blog posts, and thanks to Brad for the idea and doing all that. It's up on my blog today on scottkelby.com. And he's just a wonderful photographer. One of the things that he did that I thought was really brilliant was he did a personal series where he took portraits of photographers holding like a print that means the most to them.
Right.
And it really is, there's the guest blog post right there. If you get a chance, go over and read a little about Tim and his life. He's just an amazing photographer, and I got to meet him in person a number of times, which is always a thrill for me because he's been such a hero of mine. And he was always just the kindest, nicest, most warm, humble guy. He invited me to come and watch him make one of those prints. I got to sit in the room and watch while he did. He's just.
Well, you said he used that big Polaroid, that 20 by 24.
Yeah, he used that big, giant walk-inside Polaroid, and he's just a wonderful photographer and a wonderful person, and he will sorely be missed by our industry. He really does a lot of great stuff, and he was a really great guy. And it was very, very sad and heartbreaking to hear that. So our hearts go out to his family and all of his friends and the people that admired his work, and he left a great body of work behind and something that I'm sure his family is very proud. All righty. Okay, a couple things we want to say hi to some folks before we stop in. Rob Foldy. Rob was the guest last week. Rob he's on time this week.
Was he not on time last week?
Yeah, he had some issues getting here on time, but with Rob, we're kind of like, it's Rob, it's okay. And
everybody knows Rob, right?
Everybody knows Rob. He's kind of like family now. Roy says hi from North Norway. So, hi, Roy. That's one of the places that's on the top of my list to go. Lassie, or Lasse, says from Sweden. So hi. Dave Williams is on. All right, Dave from the UK. Good evening, Dave. All right, got a shout out from Slovakia, from Loris Marjan from the Netherlands. Man, it's the international crowd tonight.
Bavaria.
I know, right? Marcel from Bavaria, Andrew from Sheffield, UK, and Varzegi from Hungary. Thanks to have all of you
Indeed.
on. There's Fran Hughes. Hi, Fran. Blind critiques again. I know, right? That's what Matt Charniski says. Oh, snap. Another critique episode. I know, but, with Thomas being here, we really thought it was funny. Hey, this is an interesting post here. Tom says, with so many camera phones, is there really a need for real estate photography?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's... If you're a real estate agent, you can use your camera phone, but there's a huge difference between knowing what you're doing and
massively
using that little camera phone. So, sorry, yes. That's why I'm here.
That's why you're here. Are you ready to get to work?
If not, yeah, hey, where's my camera phone?
So this is the interesting thing. When we said we wanted real estate blind critiques, it's not supposed to be... Oh, wait till it switches over here. Am I not on... Let me see. Is my feed not showing up? It's not supposed to be actually of real estate offices. It's supposed to be of real estate. So
maybe you guys need to be more clear about the criteria
we'll
for these.
A little more clear.
Although I like that shot. It's got nice colors. Nice sky in that. That works for me.
So hey, here's another shot of the real estate office. Anyway,
that one not so much, but this one I like.
That one is nice, right? Okay.
Yeah, cool.
All right. So let's start our actual blind critiques. We wish everybody luck.
Let's do it.
So here's our very first one.
All right.
I'll go through the 3 photos first, and then Thomas will get your comments. So here's number 1.
Great.
Number 2. And number 3. So overall, what are your thoughts?
I think they're good. They're really good photos. One thing that I noticed, the colors are slightly off. Like if you look underneath the chairs, now I don't know if that's actually lighting underneath, but I have a feeling
it looks like lighting.
It isn't though, because the wall on the right-hand side next to the fridge is also blue. See that?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Is that color?
Like that right there.
Yeah, that's blue. That's shade, right?
And it's actually, I'm sorry guys, this I may need to look on Scott's computer here because the screen isn't as, it's more saturated than what I'm seeing here on Scott's computer. Yeah, that's a great shot. Comp is really good.
But bluish over here still?
It's a little bluish underneath the chairs and a little bluish on the right-hand side. Right and also on the cabinet above, to the right of the window. I'm nitpicking on this one a little bit, but because compositionally it's great. You got your verticals correct, corrected for barrel distortion on that one. All the chairs are perfectly aligned. That's as far as real estate photography goes, that's a great shot. Again, on the monitor at first when I looked at it up above, I thought, oversaturated. When I'm looking at it now, not so much. This is a personal opinion of mine. The only thing that I don't like about this, but a lot of people do it, I even know high-end architectural shooters that'll keep it, the staircase leading up to the door itself is too blue for me. I see this kind of over and over again when we're doing night shots, that the shadow areas will turn blue. And I know in reality it isn't. The sky is really quite nice. Right. Oh, we lost it there.
I'm going to drop this in here. And we're going to take out the blue. And let's see what that looks like.
Oh, okay. You don't have the program that I would use, but we can try and do it.
What do you use? Lightroom there?
Actually, I use Nik software.
Oh, okay. Well, this will get us there. I'm going to just go to saturation and take out some of the blue.
Yeah, there you go.
And
yeah.
All right. So does that help?
That helps.
All right.
Yeah. So for me, it just looks a little bit more natural. Like if you were walking up there at night, you wouldn't see that as blue.
You're right. I would not see that as blue.
Right, and I actually like night shots being a little bit more warm too. Again, that's a personal opinion.
That's what we want is your personal opinion.
Well, there you got it.
Warm this up a little bit. I can warm it up a little.
Oh, the whole shot? No.
You don't want the whole shot?
No. But just the staircase itself.
Okay, we can do that.
Because there's a tendency for the shadow areas to go blue in night shots quite severely. And again, I just don't think that that's the way that our eye sees it. My philosophy is I want to get an image to look as close to what it really does look like, and at the same time add drama to it, which I think was achieved fairly well in that photo.
And now I'm not an expert. This looks nice to me.
Yeah, no, again, the comp is really, really good on this one. I'm liking the composition. They're tight, which is nice. Kind of designy shots. I'm hoping that there's other angles, because for real estate, you're selling a property. You're not necessarily selling the couches or just the fireplace itself. This would be a great secondary shot. Right. It is nicely lit.
Where would the main shot be from?
It's hard to know without being there. You might step back a little bit further, or you might actually be on the other side of the couches, showing where the dining room is. I'm assuming there's a dining room behind it or something, or actually to the left of the couch, showing those. You can see that window in the mirror there.
Right over here?
Yeah, maybe a little bit further back slightly, showing those windows. I don't want to knock it at all, because it's a very, very well composed photo.
Okay.
The only thing I would change, again, this is a little bit blue for me. If you're looking at the sofa, the back of the sofa itself, you're looking at that lamp above the sofa on the right-hand side.
This even has a blue tint right in there.
Exactly. I think that's one of the more common mistakes. Is not changing the color in those very selective areas. Overall, it's not blue. It's not like some hyper-saturated HDR that I've seen before. So it's just selective areas that I might go in afterwards and clean it up. I might even take the lamp from the left-hand side, cut and paste it and place it in over on the right-hand side to match. I like the color of the lamp, on that left-hand side couch. That's, for me, pretty perfect.
All right. Well, we can fix that.
Scott, you can do anything.
That Photoshop program it's pretty good. It's let's go ahead and we'll open this one just for fun, and then here we go. We'll pop it in here. All right, so let's take a little of that blue out. We'll do the same thing.
Yeah, or you could even just grab the color from over here and put it over here.
Yeah, you could put it over there. How about if we just do this? If you mentioned
you're probably better at Photoshop.
Stealing that.
There you
go. Let's copy it up to its own layer, and we'll just bring it over here. And then what we can do, if we get it close, I got a good trick. It's a good little Photoshop-y trick. If you get it close to where it's covering it, but how it looks kind of funky, is just change the mode to color.
Right.
And that way it just brings the color over, as you can see. Look at that. Pretty
sweet. We got a little on the
I got
top.
a little, but we got a program that'll fix that. Yeah.
There you go.
But you see how it brought the color over? That's pretty nice for me. And without, because it was kind of pixelated and small. By changing the mode to color, it just brings the color over, and then
do it all the time.
Accidentally just did. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We get it though.
So we started off pretty strong here today.
Yeah. No. Those are great. Good shots. Good shots.
All right. Let's see, and then we'll go to. They didn't give us enough. Let me go over here and let's get this guy.
Okay.
And we'll open these. Oh, we're gonna have to open these. Just give me 1 second before you flip over to the camera. I gotta fix some stuff.
Hey, hi, Rich. Rich Leonardo from the Bay Area.
Oh yeah, feel free to read any of those while I'm fixing stuff.
Hey, Rich. I'm just gonna ignore Scott for a while.
Yeah, that's okay.
Most
people
go.
do. It really works better. And let me get this one last thing. Hang on.
Do you want me to answer some of these questions while you're?
Yeah, absolutely. It just take me 2 seconds, but yeah.
Oh, well, I can wait if you want.
All right, here we go. Let's look at this. Let's look at this next one. We'll get to the questions right after this one.
Okay.
So we have 3 different images here. Here's one.
Okay. Okay. One,
There's
2. Okay.
And
3.
3. All right.
Okay. First thing.
Blue.
Well, the colors are pretty inconsistent throughout the whole photo. On the right-hand side, we have that blue light coming in from that auxiliary room
Right
over there,
here.
whatever that is. The windows are pretty blue. The ceiling is kind of a red. It goes from red to blue above the ceiling fan. And overall, the exposure is pretty dark. The verticals are pretty good. The comp is pretty good on that. I'm assuming this is a...
So we're brightening it up?
Yeah, maybe not that far. This looks like Photomatics to me. This looks like an HDR image.
You think it's HDR? Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe.
there's telltale signs of the ambient light taking emphasis over here on the right-hand side of the fireplace itself. And another thing that happens with HDR is you will get this blue cast in the windows, and blue cast from any sort of that, I'm not going to say ambient light because sometimes you'll get yellow, but it really has that HDR effect to me. You said I'm, here to give you my personal opinion. Generally, I don't care for HDR. The reason being is you're really just at the mercy of the ambient light. You can't sculpt anything. If you look back at the, prior two images, there was a depth to it, not a overall. I mean, I do talk about in the video doing an overall, front to back and side to side light and bright, because that's what real estate agents like. But these tend to be weirdly not contrasty enough and contrasty at the same time. What I would do is I would select the whole ceiling. I desaturate it. I mean, in Nick software, I use something called the white neutralizer, where you just go on and hit whatever the color cast is, and it turns it to white. Really amazing program.
In what? What is that in?
In Nick.
Is it Nick Color Effects Pro?
Color Effects Pro.
Son of a gun, I never used that one. I love Color Effects Pro.
No,
all right,
awesome.
so I made a couple of tweaks here. I got rid of some of the things that you were saying. So there's the original.
And then that's better to me.
Yeah. I agree. I certainly think so.
Right.
The blue stuff. Look at the blue in that hallway.
Yeah.
The blue out the windows.
Right.
It's kind of harsh. All right, let's take a look at. We got a couple others here that we've.
One thing. Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'll just mention it in this one. Turn the ceiling fans off. You got the ceiling fans running in all three of them.
Aha. That's a good little tip there.
There you go.
Ceiling fans must be stopped. These are not propellers on airplanes. Is that what you're trying to say?
They are not.
All right, can I tell you something was bugging me in this one? You didn't mention it, but that's obviously a mock. The photo's been added later in Photoshop.
I agree with you.
It's so bright.
I've debated with many people about this. I turn TVs to black. The only time that I drop in an image is if it's a place with a in-home theater. Like seating for 10 or 15 or something.
Leave this at 100%.
It does look very different than the rest of the image.
It looks
correct.
So dropped in.
Indeed.
You could lower the opacity on that a lot, and that would help.
Right.
Just lowering the opacity.
Right.
Hey, let's just drop. I got a lot of comments here.
Cool.
Mike Whittington said, "Loved your seminar a few months ago in Florida." Stefan says, "Hi from Pembrokeshire. Love the type class, Scott." Thank you, Stefan. Peter Treadway's here. Peter's from the UK, and he's an awesome guy. Thomas Fitzpatrick, hi from Ireland. Hans Jürgen. Hi, Hans Jürgen Kiergan from Gnertst. Loving. Someone's going to get that. That's a Wayne's World 2 reference, by the way. Sorry. Loving the grid from the very beginning. Watching from Frankfurt, Germany. Bow's here from Vietnam. Carbon Vega's here from Saudi Arabia. Wow, we got the...
I want to know what time it is in Saudi Arabia.
What time? He says it's late. It's late here, but it's worth it. So Carbon Vega, let us know what time. All right, let's ask her a question. So DH Photo says, I shot real estate in Los Angeles, and now that I've relocated to South Florida, I've reduced my rates, but I'm still pricing myself out of work. Any suggestions for calculating a new price structure? So the price structure would be the difference between California, where every home sells for like $4 million and it's 1,200 square feet.
Not mine.
versus Miami, where you buy a 5,000 square foot home for $210,000.
Right. It's a good question, and I don't even know if I know how to answer that. I mean, what you want to do, DH, is do market research. If you can, talk to people that you know in the area that are shooting, see if they're willing to share it. I know it's kind of proprietary. We have a pretty tight group in California, so we talk about that. There's Facebook pages you can join to talk about pricing. It's a tough go. Or maybe when you're shooting with real estate agents, ask them. They're willing to tell you, I only have to pay so and so, this amount. Yeah, just really be upfront with them, saying, hey, I love doing this. That is, if you do, and I want to keep doing it. But what does it take to make it in this business? What would you pay for a photo shoot? That'd be my best advice for you. And it can be rough changing markets. Like in the video that I taught, I was saying you got to do regional research for it. You can't. I can't give you a blanket number for what to charge because, you're
not supposed to give a blanket number for what you charge because that's price fixing. You can't go. The price for real estate is blank.
Right. Well, then on top of it too, you have your markets like San Francisco, Seattle, Boston, Chicago. Actually, some places in Florida. They were kind of the hotbeds back in 2004. We kind of were the ones who started. So we're all kind of saying, hey, this is where we're at. This is what we're doing. But if you're in Kansas or you're in Southern Florida, that isn't going to apply anymore.
Or if you're in Saudi Arabia, where it is 11:21.
11:21.
11:21.
Not too bad. I
That's
thought it would be more like 2, but
before
yeah.
midnight.
But thanks
All right.
anyways for.
Hey, so we're gonna go back to some more. I just wanted. We got so many great questions. Renlock is asking, when you're doing a real estate job, do you have a set shot list? Like, do you go into the house and go, here's what I generally shoot?
Well, I do my pricing by the number of photos that I deliver to a client. So I start my pricing at 15 photos and then go from there.
So do you know what you're going to shoot? Like, you go, I know I'm doing the kitchen from this kind of, like, do you have a set, like, a wedding photographer goes in and says, I got to get the,
like a shot, right?
Yeah, I've got to get the bouquet, I've got to get the formals, I've got to get the kiss,
Well, unlike that, mostly you're going to walk into a job, and of course you're going to get the master bedroom, the master bath, dining room, living room, kitchen, family room. Maybe out here in Florida, the 4 family rooms that you guys have, for $250,000. But inevitably, the real estate agents aren't going to tell you what you're walking into. You need to get all the main rooms. That's definitely a couple yard shots, exterior shot. But then after the fact, it really depends on what the client wants. And if you're at your 15 at that point, well, that's where you stop. What I do, and over the course of time, and something that your great video guide told me to talk about, which I may not have, is that when you walk in, you do a walkthrough, right? You walk through the property. You're going, okay, there's 2, 3 in the master bedroom. There's 4 bedrooms that I want to shoot. There's a couple extra baths. I'm already up to 8 or 9. They're only paying for 15. You do your walkthrough, and then you go back to the agent and you say, hey, look, you signed up for a 15-shot package, but I can pull out 25 shots here. Do you want me to do those 25 for my 25-shot rate? Or let's walk through and you tell me what's important to you if you want to keep the 15. I don't want to make you overspend.
Is 15 a pretty standard number for you?
That's for us folks in California. That's where we developed a 15-shot. But you need to, the market's changing. I know people that'll deliver 30 consistently.
Okay, I got a question for you. This is a tricky one. You ready?
Yeah.
To get the 15 final shots, how many shots would you think, on average, you would take?
17?
No, really?
I mean, like final shots, or how many images do I have on my card?
How many images do you have on your card?
Well, I bracket 5 or 8 or 7 or 9 per photo.
Okay,
so
not counting the bracketing. So
are you asking me how many times does it take me to get my final photo on a?
Yeah, so let's say, so if you went into a house and you're shooting and you want to deliver 15 clients images, do you shoot 200 images? Do you shoot 100? Do you shoot 50? I'm just trying to get a feel for, because since I don't do this, I'm trying to get a feel for, well, if I did a home, how long would it take me based on how many images I'm going to take? Like, do you set up in a corner and you get your shot, do you do 2 or 3, and you're like, that's good. Now, forget the bracketing. But like, how many images do you think? And I'm asking you for a ballpark. It's not scientific, but.
After doing it for this long, bedrooms are bedrooms. Those are dialed in.
Really? Click.
Well, I set up my lighting, of course, and then, but it'll only take me 2 or 3 shots on average for a bedroom to get it nailed, and then I move on.
I got to start shooting.
For a simple bedroom, like if something, and especially if it has a white wall or a white door behind me, 2 shots max.
Wow.
So I'm in and out on a property for 15 photos on average. Now, this is not including those, oh, by the way, I didn't tell you that the living room has a drop-dead view of the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's hazy out today, and you need to pull that in. Those are the complicated shots. That's the ones that you sweat. Yeah. But for a bedroom anymore, those things take me about a minute to shoot. I'm in and out in an hour for 15 shots.
Wow, good for you.
Right. What was I gonna? But one thing I want to say in terms of like actual sequencing, I start with the easy shot first. I start with all the bedrooms because they're my warm-up. I knock through them, and by that point, I'm kind of in the groove.
All right, good.
I don't start with that hard shot.
This is good stuff.
And spend 25 minutes,
good stuff.
Get it out of the way, and then move on to the hard ones.
I dig it. What would we tell this photographer, so we can move on? What would we tell this photographer about, here's what, besides stop the ceiling fans.
Don't put the pictures
Don't put the fake pictures in the TV.
Especially of a house. I understand why you did that. That's probably
the outside of that house.
I know. I understand that for marketing purposes, but I would use an image of a movie or something like that. I would say start to learn your lighting. Even one flash would help you out in this. It would help with the color tremendously. The problem with HDR is you're really reliant on the ambient color. You can see on the ceiling here, that blue light coming in on the right-hand side, that's the light coming in from the window. And then you look on the left-hand side, where it's all reddish orange, that's the tungsten right there.
So you use the flash to balance the lighting.
That's
in the
a
room.
part of it. It's not just quick and easy, but yeah.
All right, let's see what we got next here. That was good stuff. And here we are. All right, here's the first shot.
They put their name on it. We know who they are.
No, I can't stop people from putting watermarks. And so let's go back to the very first one.
First one.
What are we thinking here?
Really good. I'm liking this shot. People are moving more towards this 1-point perspective rather than doing a 2-point perspective. It's a debate. It looks like you might actually be using a tilt shift lens.
When you say the 2-point perspective, are you talking about shooting into a corner?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Correct. Where this one you're shooting like straight into the subject on the wall.
These are all straight,
That's
right?
a 1-point as well. That's not really a 1-point perspective, but I'm going to nitpick on this one because overall they're really good. Very, very acceptable images. I would clean up the microwave. I don't like the reflection in that.
Reflection's bad.
That's right where my eye goes.
Let me ask you a question. What do you do to clean up the microwave?
Actually, I do the same thing with the TV. I black them out. I select it and then just use my levels and put it to black.
All right. Crud, I was going to open it and do that. But
Okay. The other nitpicky thing, the light on the left-hand side in the dining room on the ceiling is too bright.
And so how would you balance that out? By brightening the rest of the ceiling? Is that right? Or what would you do?
No. I like the exposure of the rest of the ceiling. That's just too bright for me.
You just got to pull that down? All right.
Yeah. You can do it however you want.
No. We don't care how I like it. I was just trying to figure out what would I do. I would probably brighten that. But so you're saying darken this down. So let's go over here and maybe pull the highlights and see if we can darken this down a bit. All right. So
there you go.
Something more like that.
Something more like that. Even a little bit on the wall. Because again, when you're just talking about basic photographic theory, our eyes are going to go to what's bright.
Right.
So that mirror, I'm looking at the mirror and I'm looking at the microwave more than the room. So I'm liking that. Another thing I do, this front area here, I'd clean up. I'd get rid of that cup.
Now, are you moving these when you're shooting?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do that when you're shooting, right?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, let's go in and fix a little bit of this.
What is that, a waffle maker?
That is a waffle maker, and it's making me hungry.
We just had lunch, Scott.
I know. That's what's weird. Okay, here we go. So you're blacking that out?
Yep.
That looks a whole lot better.
Your eye doesn't go to it anymore. I mean, it does, but not as much as it was when it was bright. So yeah, I clean up the clutter a little bit.
All right.
And this is stuff you learn on the job. You know, what's going to save you 25 minutes in Photoshop versus 3 minutes.
How's the brightness and all this stuff? Brightness okay? Good,
I'm liking
bad?
it. As a real estate image, no, it's good.
All right,
it's really good.
Okay, so what would you tell this photographer? Keep up the good work, or
pretty much, yeah.
But some of that detail stuff, huh? Well, anything in here, like you said, like nitpicky stuff? Are we okay?
Well, again, on the right-hand side, we have this comp problem with the waffle maker, and that part of the problem too is those utensils are blue. So my eyes go into that. And then also having something on the edge of the frame, like maybe a plant or something when you're doing a living room can be very effective, but in this case, it's just detracting from the image itself.
Okay.
And actually, I think this brings up an interesting point. I like the window pull on this. A lot of real estate photographers, when they're starting out, they're like, oh, I got to get the view in every room. Like, I need to show what's outside. I need to make it the same exposure as the actual room itself. But you look in shelter magazines, that's hardly the case. I mean, of course, if it's a nice view of, again, the Golden Gate Bridge, you want to have that super exposed. But this is nice. You see the yard. I like the ambience coming in. It looks naturally lit. Your lighting's very good. And I might lower the ceiling a little bit, but that's a personal, personal thing. Now, the third one, though, that's an interior design shot. I wouldn't use that for real estate. It doesn't tell me anything about the house. Okay. I'm selling a chair.
So tell me the difference between a interior design shot and a real estate shot.
Well, interior design, you're looking at the elements that are placed in the house, like this chair, this the drapery. We're looking at the drapery. I'm sure the interior designer, would have wanted that drapery being there. The nice chair showing how the design element. You're looking at design elements in the room. You don't necessarily need to show the whole room. In real estate, the real focus is to give people an idea of what they're looking at when they're going to buy the house. This doesn't give me that idea as much. Now, this could be an add-on shot, something you put in, later on. But if I'm buying a house and I look at that, it's like I just don't know why that would be in there.
Number one, I can't wait to watch your class. Number two, we're getting so many good questions. So can I tell you that normally on a critique show, we don't get questions.
That's what you said.
People basically either say, I agree with what you're saying, I disagree with what you're saying, I like that shot, I don't like that shot, but they don't. So can we, I hate to do this because I know a lot of people have sent in images, but can we just take a couple of questions real quick?
Yeah, let's go
and a
for
couple
it.
of comments.
You tell me which.
Peter Treadway says, sorry I missed the beginning. Does this show mean there'll be another architectural class? Yes, that is exactly what Thomas is doing here. He is for the last 2 days you've been taping classes.
Oh yeah.
On location.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, those are on the way. And I wasn't there for the taping of the classes, but I heard from my crew that they rocked. My crew was
That's
like,
what they said too. I was like,
classes
really?
are
All right.
really good. So I was very, very excited. Scott Berger says, see you in New York City next week. Oh yeah, I'm in New York. I'll talk about that in just a minute. Anonymous asks, do you use flash inside the homes?
Oh yeah, all the time.
What kind of flash? Is it just hot shoe flash?
It depends on what I'm doing. I started out just using a hot shoe flash, but you'll see it in the video if you watch it. And I don't want to sound, like try to sound super cool here. I have 2 SB900s and 5 SB800s that I carry with me on every job.
God, he's super cool.
I'm the Joe McNally of real estate photography.
All right.
So yeah, no, flash is for everything. I mean, there's a couple reasons. As I said, with using the HDR, you can't sculpt it. You're relying on the ambient, and I just don't like doing it. So you can sculpt the image more. Secondly, you can pull in the view. You can pump up the power if you want to. And then thirdly, what it does is it balances out the color temperature. If you're using a flash, you know what CT that flash is. And yeah, you can gel it to hopefully, make it consistent across.
CT stands for California Townhome.
Yes, for 2.5 million. You like that, huh?
It says for color temperature.
Right. Where was I with it? Sometimes I'll add a flash through an umbrella at 1/128th just to knock the color. I'm not even really using it to light. I'm keeping consistent color.
Matt's asking, do you generally use natural light? No.
I use a mix. The way that I do it, again, look at the video, is I pull in as much ambient light as I can. That's my first step. I want to bring that ambient in. The place that I stop it is blowing out the highlights in lamps, in fixtures, in the windows, the mullions, on the drapes. I don't want to have banding around the drapes. It kind of destroys the image and gets that funny color, or really destroys it. So I will cut it right where things are starting to fall apart, and then I'll add the flash after that to help with the color temperature, light areas that don't have the light, sculpt it, and you'll be amazed at the difference between using flash and just using ambient. But with that being said, I love the ambient. Bring it on. I'm a big fan of it.
All right. Without so much walking on the class, T.S. Reamer asks, can you talk about what you typically bring for you for lighting a room? Now, I know it's different for every room.
An average bedroom?
They said, let's say an average bedroom. How many lights are you bringing in? We know it's some form of a hot shoe flash, but how many would you bring?
2 generally. The way that I like to do it is I have a main flash either on camera or off on a tripod behind me, and then 1 flash on whichever side of the room makes sense. This is going to be hard to say I always put it on the right or I always put it on the left. Sometimes it'll be a mirror problem. Generally, it's the size of the room. Let's say my main flash is going to cover 2/3 of the room on this side because of the way the room is, and then I'll put my secondary flash to help fill that 1/3
So you
of the
use
room.
an on-camera flash and an off-camera flash?
Or a main light on a tripod.
On a tripod, okay.
With a radio trigger. Again, I do it both ways in the class. You can get away with an on-camera flash, no problem for real estate.
All right, Teal Time asks, on that last kitchen shot, would you recommend lightening the lower cabinet? So here's the shot.
The way that I base that is it clipped? It doesn't look clipped to me.
Well, look at my screen. That one over there is kind of funky. So from you.
Yeah, I am. What was it? The front one or the one off to the right hand side, or both?
They're just saying the lower cabinet. So I think
no,
it's both.
it looks good to me. I like it. Again, personal taste. And if I did, it would be very, very slight. And that'd probably be something for post. One thing you need to realize about real estate is it's quick. You could do anything to these images if you want to, but if you're getting, X number of dollars, do you want to be there for an hour? You want to be there for 4 hours? And then on top of it, real estate agents are not.
I want to be there for an hour.
You want to be there for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, right.
But real estate agents are not patient people. You need to be dialed in.
So when you're there and you're shooting the kitchen, do you ever open the fridge and start eating stuff? Come on, you can tell me.
No, but I have a funny story along that line. That in the summertime when I'm cranking and I'm running around, my main flash, the 900s mostly, the 800s are better at it, will overheat.
I know. What is with that?
I have no idea.
The first time I used a 900, the very first time I used it, it overheated and shut down.
Yeah.
I was ready to throw it off the canyon.
Yeah.
I was shooting in the middle of the day. I was just using a fill flash.
I know.
I was like...
Right. So what I do is I take the flash and I put it in the fridge at the home. Cool it down.
Is that ridiculous, though?
It is ridiculous.
Can I ask you a question? The SB 800, that's an amazing... That's one of the greatest flashes ever made.
That is one of the greatest workhorse flashes ever made.
And, of course, Nikon stopped making them years ago.
Not only that,
900, it sucks.
Last week, they stopped repairing them. There's no more parts left.
Why don't they just make the 800 again? It was the greatest flash.
It was the best. It was the best. So.
But I don't care because I don't use Nikon. Okay, so here we go.
Canon tricked you.
Yeah, they tricked me into trying their gear and it worked. All right, let's see. Hey, we got to get some more images. But anyway, so we got some good stuff for this photographer. Let's see what we got. We'll go back to some more comments because there's a lot of good comments.
Can I just mention something? I'm looking at the questions up here, Paulo and David, and Debbie as well, John. Most of these are covered in the video. If you guys get the video, I'll cover all that there. So just to let you know, yes.
Yeah, so these are all questions about color, about f-stop, about ISO, all that kind of stuff. They're asking about the clash of ambient color temperatures with flash, the pink glow from the lights. You cover all that in the class.
Yeah, which is important.
There was one question I do want to answer or ask you was somebody said, I'm just getting into real estate photography. What's a good lens? What's a good lens to start with?
Well, I mean, it does depend on what... camera you're using, FXDX, because
they said crop sensor. Actually said crop sensor.
You're probably gonna want to get a 10 to 20 zoom. You want a zoom lens. You want Yeah, but you don't want to shoot wide just to shoot wide. The way that I explained it, everyone's like, oh, you real estate photographers, you shoot wide to make it look unrealistic and bigger to sell it. And I'm like, no, what I want to do is I want to give people the most amount of information in the fewest number of shots. So if I can include something in that shot that, let's say you're in a dining room, and then I show you a part of the kitchen, because I'm shooting at 14 millimeters, you're going to look at that and go, oh, hey, the dining room adjoins the kitchen. That's really cool. Rather than using a 20 millimeter and just show the dining room, and then they're like, yeah, that's a cool dining room, but you're giving people more information. You don't want to shoot wide to shoot wide. I mean, hands down, don't do that.
There you go.
But the more information you can give, the more relationship shots is what I call it, between rooms, the better for everybody.
Now, you're shooting a D800. What is your...
No, I'm actually... my workhorse is a 700.
Oh, the 700.
It's same thing as the SB 800s. That is the best Nikon workhorse camera out there.
I agree. I had a D700 back in the day, and it was awesome.
I have dropped that thing so many times. I actually have a battery pack on it, so it turns it into a D3S. So I get 9 frames per second raw out of it with the continuous high bracket mode.
There you go. All right.
Awesome camera.
So here's my question. Somebody asked this. All right. So on your D700 full frame, what's your go-to lens?
The Nikon 14 to 24.
The 14-24?
That is the best zoom lens ever made.
It's only because you haven't tried the Canon 11 to 24. Okay. I'm sorry. Forget it. Move on. I'm not trying to start that kind of thing. Here we go.
Yeah,
Let's look at another photographer. Here we go. Look away. All right. Here's first shot.
Okay.
Here's the second shot. Here's the third one. Now, can I tell you something before you say anything?
Okay.
This is
critique it,
guys. No, I'm not going to critique it. I want to look at the camera here, guys. This is why we do blind critiques. So we're only a few minutes into this, right? We've only looked at a few images, and I've already learned that blue garage door, blue walls.
There you go.
Blue stuff. And this is why I tell people, they don't have to critique your images for you to learn from this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So I look at this, and the first thing I thought was, blue garage door.
There you go.
Blue tint everywhere. Blue trellis, blue wall. Yeah, that was the very first things that I thought. And so I if nothing else, by looking at these first ones, you've learned something. Hey, we better take a break. We haven't taken a break or anything. I think we better take a break. Let's take a break. We're going to come back and look at these images. So you guys stick around. We're going to go.
Okay.
We're going blue when you come back. No, it's already gone blue. Anyway, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back here on the grid.
Thanks.
Don't go away. Hi, everybody. Scott Kelby here, and I want to invite you to watch my brand new class. It's called Lightroom Killer Tips. Let me tell you what I did. I took all of my best shortcuts, my favorite workarounds, all of the cool tips that I've learned that will save you time, that will save you money, that will make you faster and more efficient, and more importantly, let you have more fun in Lightroom. I put them all in one class. It's a ton of stuff, and you're absolutely going to love it. Come and check it out exclusively at kelby1.com.
Christy from Shark Pixel here, and I am so excited to talk to you about my new upcoming class. It's all about retouching hair. You're gonna learn how to change color, you're gonna learn how to extract from the background, how to take care of flyaways, and at the end of the class, we're gonna get super advanced and start creating our own custom hairbrushes so that you'll never pull out your own hair again next time you have hair to retouch in Photoshop. So check it out only on kelby1.com.
Hey everybody, Roy Ashen here. I'd like to invite you to my Kelby One course called How to Supercharge Your Sales and Marketing with Music. We're going to look at examples from some of the world's top photographers. We're going to talk about specific tips and techniques on choosing the perfect music for every one of your projects, enhancing the emotion and impact. So I hope you'll join me for this course here on kelby1.com.
Hey everybody, Scott Kelby here with Thomas Grubba. We are doing real estate blind critiques, but I was just telling Thomas on the break, your questions are so good. It's like these are such good questions, and there's so many people want to know about this. So I want to answer a question. I want to tell you about something. So Bob says, I just came across your broadcast. You reference a video several times. Where can I get a copy? So Thomas is actually here at our studios in Florida, taping classes on real estate photography and real estate post-processing. So because that's it's a big topic. And so he's been here for the last 2 days on location, shooting in homes and shooting in here in the studio with the post-processing stuff. We'll be producing those classes, and they'll be on Kelby One. So go to kelby1.com. You can sign up for the free trial, and then of course when the classes come out, you will be good to go. So we're very excited to have him. Now, can I get this is off topic, but it is on. The reason why he is here is because a number of years ago, I flew to Los Angeles and took a live workshop with you, and you were great, and I learned so much.
But you still don't correct your verticals.
I know.
You didn't learn that much.
No, because you know what? We didn't do post-processing when we were there.
No, we didn't. We did not.
And we didn't do exterior shots. We only did interiors.
True.
So,
true. All right, I'll give you a break.
That being said, in those 2 days, I learned a tremendous amount. And so that's why when we were looking for someone to teach this, like, I got a guy. He's really good.
I know a guy.
Matt Kluskowski was the one that invited me to go. So Matt was going to go, and he's like, dude, let's go take this class.
Yeah, that was great to meet both of you then.
It was a lot of fun. You guys were very gracious, but you were great teachers, and you worked hard for your class. I was very impressed with the way you guys ran the workshop.
I like teaching. It's fun.
All right, so we're back. So this is our. Oh, I wanted to mention next week. I'm a very busy guy next week, and I want to invite you to these places. So on Monday, all right, this coming Monday, I think it's like the 17th or something. I am in Charlotte, North Carolina, with my Shoot Like a Pro Part 2 tour. So if you know a photographer in the Charlotte area, tell them to come on out. That's on Monday. We've already got a couple hundred photographers coming. We got room for you, so come on out. That's on Monday. On Wednesday, I'm leaving for New York City. I'm going to New York for the Photo Plus Expo. I am working really hard. I'm doing, on Thursday in the morning, I'm doing a master class on lighting. So if you want to come and learn studio lighting, how to make really beautiful light, that's what we're going to be focusing on. That is on Monday morning. I'm going to be shooting on the Canon live stage. I will be doing a presentation about my Iceland trip on the Canon main stage, and then I'm doing a Lexar photo walk. The Lexar thing is sold out, so that is in the afternoon. We're going to go on location, shooting models on location in New York City. That's already sold out. I got a lot of. It's going to be a very, very busy week. I'm doing 4 things. I'm having a lot of meetings, seeing a lot of friends. I'm very excited. I love New York and love going up there. Love the Photo Plus Expo. So anyway, I hope to see some of you and meet some of you there. I saw somebody that said they'll be seeing me in New York next week. So very, very, very looking forward to everybody there. That's coming up next week. Okay.
Awesome.
So what are our overall thoughts on photographer here?
Well, you nailed it on the first one. That you got to clean up the front of that house somehow. It's just too blue. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, maybe it's painted blue, but I doubt it.
No, that's not blue. That's a white garage door. Let's go.
I mean, the blue of the sky is fine. We're gonna take that.
We're gonna need more of that out of there.
Get rid of that.
If I got auto mask turned on or something. Oh, I do. I'm wondering, like, why is this looking so crappy? All right, here we go. All right, so we got to get rid of that. We don't need blue walls.
I'm even thinking the house is gray. If you look at the right underneath those plants right there, I'm thinking that's the actual.
That's the actual color of the house right there.
Right.
So we're gonna go.
So you could paint all that.
To bring back the natural color of the house. You're right.
Exactly.
I doubt that they're the natural color of the house are blue tiles, blue wood.
The old blue wood. I have seen stuff like that, but it's just because it's not consistent.
Hey, this is looking a lot better already.
Yeah.
And I'll get rid of
even the fence is off to the right-hand side. That
all
down
this
there.
is blue. Yeah, this is Blue City.
Blue is a really common color cast that happens. You need to, and I find it more difficult to deal with than some others. I like dealing with yellow color casts better than blue.
And the blue on the pot is in blue on the road. You think the road is blue?
Asphalt
Probably.
always turns blue on night shoots.
Yeah,
always.
So let's look at just where we are. Look at the difference.
There you go.
There was a lot of blue in there. Now I also spilled over into the rooms. You would want those rooms to remain probably yellow, not blue.
Yeah.
So,
but let's say something positive. The exposure is really good on this. Oftentimes I see with beginning night shots that the lights are so blown out, like you don't even. You're destroying the walls,
right.
Or it's like, it's like glowing out of the house, like, Poltergeist movie or something. So the exposure on this is good. I like, kind of the lighting over here, on the plants over there. I might do a little bit of a horizontal correction on it. I like to use Photoshop for my, vertical and horizontal corrections more than Lightroom. Something like that. Something like that.
A little more?
Yeah, something like that.
All right.
And can you do a constrained crop so we can?
No. And unfortunately, that's one of the stinky things about about Camera Raw. Well, there's a whole bunch. There's a whole bunch of things in the camera.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't do constrained crop. What you can do is then leave Camera Raw filter and then.
Well, you lost it on this side. Anyways, just to mention, there wasn't doing anything off to the left, and I kind of like to see a little bit more.
What's going on outside that window? Does that look funky? It looks really weird to me over here. Now, I'm not a real estate photographer, but it just...
I think the problem is the comp. I think what this person was trying to do is try to do a one-point perspective like what we were talking about.
Right.
But it doesn't work for 2 reasons, or maybe even more than that if I start to think about it. But 2, that window on the left is just too big. All you're doing is falling out of that window. You're not seeing the room. And there's not a lot happening on this right-hand side. It's not well balanced compositionally. And then on top of it, this chair here, I would have even moved that over to the right a little bit, to get it out of the line of the fireplace, add an element to the right-hand side to hold down.
Then it would have had this open all the way to the fireplace.
Right, and hold down that right-hand side, because I'm just falling out of that window.
You are falling out of that window.
Or in this one, I don't know if it's really... a candidate for a one-point perspective. I personally would have stood more to the right-hand side to be looking out of the window rather than not knowing where the rest of this wall on the left-hand side, the window wall. Where is it going? I don't.
I'm just going to just take a hair off and see if it looked more realistic. It looks. I think my problem is it looks fakey to me.
Oh, that's true. Now that you're doing it.
So this is just pulling off the amount of blue a little bit. Mm-hmm. So look at the difference. Just seems like they want a little.
Right. Now, what I think, if with all that being said, the lighting's pretty good. You did your window pole. It looks like a mask to me, but I don't. That doesn't matter. The sconce lights are great. You know, they're not blown out, which is a common.
That's a big thing. Keep the
that's
sconces from
for
blowing
me.
out.
Yeah,
Lights,
yeah.
wall lights.
Sconces are important to keep. Can lights, I'd let those go to the point where it's not destroying the ceiling.
Right.
But this might actually be helped by a crop. I might just crop this down.
Now, where would you crop this? From up here? Where would you, from over, or where are you cropping?
Can you do a aspect ratio crop?
I can. Let's hold this. So from down here, like this?
Yeah, keep going. Stop. And then pull it over so that we're right on the edge of that sconce. Yep, something like that. Maybe a little bit.
Whoop, sorry.
Yeah.
Let me get back here.
Excuse me.
You're ensconced.
Stop.
Then
other way. Yep, and then add a little bit. Yeah, stop it right there. Now the problem is you lose part of the ceiling, but it feels more balanced to me now.
Yeah.
Now I'm not really falling out of the window, and the sconce on the right-hand side is now balancing that. You know,
I see.
I still would probably have moved that chair, but for me this is a more effect. I don't like losing the ceiling because the ceiling's important, but I think from a compositional perspective, this is much more.
you know what's always
easy
hilarious
to
to
look
do? Can I tell you what's something hilarious to do?
What's that?
Content-aware move. It doesn't actually work.
Then it is hilarious.
Yeah.
Why do they have it then?
That's a fair question. Yeah, it's like I don't know. I did see it work once, but anyway, where do you have to get? I forget what you have to go to make content-aware move. I forget. I've used it so much I can't even remember where it's in Photoshop.
Well, that brings up an interesting point. I think I've said it before. It is so much better to move something on site rather than spend 15 or 20 minutes in post.
Yeah.
Someone asked me, how long do you spend in post? I am spending about an hour in post. So you
For 15 images?
Yeah, you do the math on that.
Wow.
That's 5 minutes an image. You get 5 minutes an image. And because I was talking with the video guy yesterday. So if you add, and the EP when we were at lunch, you add 1 minute to every photo that you edit, and you're pulling 4 jobs a day. That's an hour every day more that you're spending in post because you have 4 jobs, 15 minutes, and then multiply that by a week, and then multiply that by by 7 or 5 days, and then multiply that by 50 weeks. What do you get? I mean, we're talking. Get it dialed in, and move the hose in the front of the house, for crying out loud. Don't
move
say
the hose.
Yeah, don't say I'll go back and clone it. Why clone it? It'll take you 30 seconds on site.
I would so much rather fix it on.
So.
And this one looks like HDR'd and in a bad way?
Not as much as the other one. I think the green in the trees is oversaturated.
How about what's going on here?
I would
bad
probably
masking.
Oh, I didn't see that from my edge.
Yeah, look at all this stuff. Ooh.
Well, that isn't as bad to me as, or not as much of a problem as the color itself. I don't mind the color on the house. The trees look unrealistic. The sky looks sort of unrealistic. The foreground's fairly all right, but.
All right. So what would we tell this photographer to do overall to improve their real estate photography?
It's not that bad. I'm assuming.
Oh, I'm not saying that it's that
right.
bad.
No, meaning that I wouldn't rely on HDR so much for these twilight shots unless you only have like 5 or 10 minutes to do it. I mean, I take quite a bit of time to do them. I'd start to make your images look more natural. The interior image, well lit, so that's good. Yeah.
All right. Hey, friend of the show, Johan asks, do you use a color checker or anything to avoid your photos getting blue and get the right white balance, or how do you get your white balance right?
Unless you really know how to use a color checker, like really, really, really know how to use it, don't do it, because you need to have that color checker in the light source that is going to give you accurate color. When we're on site, we have tungsten light coming in, we have daylight coming in, we have flash coming in. We have like 4 or 5 different types of color temperature. So if you put it under a tungsten light, and then you go back and you hit that white point on the color checker, it's going to turn everything blue over on the right-hand side where all that daylight's coming in. Color checkers are for studios, really. I mean, you can do it if you are really dialed in on it, but I would not recommend anyone starting out using a color checker.
All right.
Not for any reason.
All right, so here's another one. Now we're going to have to speed up our critiques because
Let's go.
I want to get to some more of them. Here we go. This is I don't really have any questions for the photographer, but I do have questions for someone who painted the wall turquoise.
And has to live in it.
Wow. And then here's another shot, and our third shot here. So there's our 3 shots.
Okay.
Comments?
Overall acceptable. I would clean up the ceiling color a little bit. I don't know if you can do it here. And I would definitely tone down that teal color.
When you say clean up the ceiling, remove the color cast, it's got a pinkish kind of hue.
Yeah, there's a number of ways of doing that.
Yeah.
You need to make a selection, though, and then go in and paint in a different color or use a white neutralizer, as I do. I'd also get rid of that wall on the left-hand side next to the door. That's not doing anything for me.
Oh, yeah, over here. Just get rid of that, crop that out.
Right, and you can also see that there's a telltale flash shadow coming off of that.
Over here?
Yeah, just to the right of that wall.
Right there.
That right there.
Oh, right there, the flash.
Right, so my suggestion would be to tilt your flash
Hey, they're
back
hiding
a
the
little
flash
bit.
right there by the door, aren't they? Because you can see the bright light right there.
It could be the entry. It could be the front door light.
Oh,
You
yeah,
don't
it could
know.
be.
I mean, one trick is...
Yeah, it could be this, but look how bright that is.
It could be I'm thinking it's the front door. So if it is a flash, I'm cool with it.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know because who knows?
Right.
What's this going on here? What's this?
That looks like one of those scent things.
Ah.
You know.
So their house smells? Is that what you're saying?
No comment. These are good. These are good. They're overall... okay. First off, get rid of the cover on the barbecue grill.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that needs to go.
Even the worst-looking barbecue looks better than a black blob out of the window. Or go ahead and move it. I'll move those. I don't move a ton, but I will move those.
Okay.
And overall, the lighting is even, but I still think it looks a little flashy.
It does look a little flashy.
Right. So what I would suggest is go ahead and Google when you get a chance, luminance masking. There's a way to re-blend in, and I do go over that in the post tutorial.
Luminous masking is big. Okay.
Yes.
While you're looking at this one, Fran Hughes says she is looking forward to your classes.
Mm-hmm.
Anonymous 687728441 says, I can't wait to watch his classes. So there
Awesome.
you go. Thank you
Cool.
very much. Let's see. All right. So here we go.
That's actually a good shot. That's what I was talking about in terms of relationships. Remember I was saying earlier there was that one of the chair?
Yeah,
very, very beautiful shot.
Yeah.
But it doesn't tell me anything. This tells me where the living room to kitchen or to dining room or breakfast nook to kitchen is. This is kind of what real estate agents are typically looking for. Sometimes I'll actually sacrifice the composition to show a layout of a property like this. I'll make the nice image from the other angle so I'm not showing the TV, or I'll stand next to the TV and show it that way. But you're going to want to include a shot like that.
So when they built the home, the contractor built this crooked? I'm just making a joke. That's a jokey joke.
Maybe. Sometimes it happens, and I will actually tell the real estate agent, by the way, that room's bent, right?
Okay, it's bent.
So that they don't blame me for it.
All right, let's see what we got here. 1,
Okay.
2, and 3.
Okay. It's pretty good. It looks like you are sort of over-relying on the ambient light, and then the window paste exposure is too dark.
Right, out the window looks,
it
looks too dark.
Because if you look at the light on the floor, it's really bright. So I'm assuming, I don't know if you did use any lights in this one at all. And the way that I know that is because the right-hand side next to the fridge over here, this is a yellow color cast, and then this is
Shut the fridge.
And then that's a more bluish color cast over there.
So let me do this real quick because we have this program. What if Now, how do you feel about, and I'm just asking because you made that comment, about balancing this out here with some more light? Because you can't take away light very much, but you've got that. It's a little too bright there.
A little too bright, but
hey, we got a little
that's not a
slider.
bad idea. And then I'd also kind of like
slider.
get rid of some of the yellow in the upper cabinets too.
All right, so it's a little yellowing up there, so maybe head over towards that better. Am I getting warm there? Now, these are kind of blue over here.
Right, and you can...
So we hit new and just kind of drop off some of that blue.
Yeah. Oop.
Well, yeah. Well, you got to realize when you paint with this brush, it's wild, and you just go back and tone it down to what you want.
I don't use that thing.
It's a scary thing. Would you do anything with this up here?
Yeah, that's good. I'd brighten it a little bit.
All right, so let's just see what brightening does. It makes it look less dingy. What are your feelings about these spots on the floor? Do you care? Should they have shot later in the day? Or sometimes you don't have a choice.
I would say 90% of the time you don't have a choice. You just got to deal with what's there.
Yeah,
they're actually not that bad. Sometimes I've let that go completely. But I wouldn't if it's...
Oh, look, this is the same room.
Yeah, indeed.
Boy, that looks like night and day.
That's a problem.
Yeah, see, this looks like a very warm room with a warm wood ceiling. Here's the exact same room. It looks like a white ceiling. So if I buy the house, which am I getting? The warm wood ceiling or the white ceiling?
How much you want to pay? I'll give you both. Yeah, this one, it's overly bright, and part of it is it's washed out. It's too blue, I can already tell. If we did, took our color checker up here, and that's going to be 4 or 5 points blue. And I know that you didn't have an option on this when you were shooting it because we don't do the staging.
Right.
It's kind of I know that this person needed to do that shot too, but it's kind of bland.
So you don't have any problem moving stuff. Like if you go to the house and they have something stupid there, you move it?
To a point. I do make a point of telling agents, I'm not a stager, because then they'll be asking you to do everything. But like on the shoot that we did for you, we had to move stuff in the shower, and stuff like that. And so minimal moving, trash cans, hoses.
Trash cans and hoses. So you don't do HDR, but you bracket. You want to tell them what the difference is because someone just asked.
Yeah, no,
it's a huge difference.
No, I don't do HDR. But I use an exposure blending program. I use Enfuse. It's ENFUSE. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I have not.
No, it's really good.
Is it good?
It's great.
Is it Mac or Windows or what?
It's both.
It's both.
It's both. And the reason was, in the beginning, we had people that were doing HDR and showing us how to do it, et cetera, et cetera. And I tried Photomatics. The problem is Photomatics has a horrible alignment feature. It has to be absolutely aligned, to use it. So you need to use a really heavy tripod, which I don't, because I have a light carbon fiber. And
carbon fiber?
Holy crazy. And on top of it, Photomatics can't handle a flash and an ambient exposure together. The colors go berserk, but Enfuse will handle it. And it's not an HDR, it's an exposure blending program. So it doesn't convert it into an HDR and then convert it back into a recognizable image. The colors are great on it. And it gets me out of so
Enfuse.
ENFUSE. It's by this guy Timothy Arms out of Britain, and it's a donation program. You decide how much you want to pay.
No.
This guy rocks. No. Yeah, I can't say no.
All right, quick one. 24 or 18 millimeter, full frame. Well, you wouldn't be using 18 on a full frame. It's got to be a crop sensor. 24 or 18.
As a
lens.
As a fixed?
Yeah.
18. If I had to choose one of the two.
There you go. Of course, they don't make it really an 18 for full frame.
No.
All right. Okay, here we go.
Nope.
Hey, would you comp in a fire to the fireplace? Come on.
Sure.
You would? You'd comp in a fire? That's cheating.
For a high-end property, yeah, I'd do it.
You comp in a fire.
But for majority properties, no, I wouldn't.
Home Alone.
Oh my gosh, I'm crazy.
All right, let's take a look. Here we go.
So actually, on that note, if you're at a house and they have a fire going and you can actually pull it in, because most of the times you can't, make sure you make a couple extra exposures and make an exposure just to the fire and have your fire folder. I have my sky folder and I have my fire folder.
This is just falling apart. You put in fake skies.
I do when it is raining outside.
We need to take a break at this point. No, just kidding. Here we go.
Okay.
All right. Hey, by the way, I've got to mention, we're giving away some books today. So we're giving away two books.
Can I have one?
It's the same series of books. So the one person wins both of them. They are How Do I Do That in Lightroom, and it's 4th printing. It's gone back to press many times. And the new one, How Do I Do That in Photoshop, both from our friends at Rocky Nook. We're giving those away at the end of the show to 2 people, and the end of the show is coming soon. Let's take a look. That's a picture. Oh, look at that. Juan got all the way over there, and
There we go. Beautiful.
giving both of these to one person today.
Me?
No.
Not me.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, and that's called Tilty House, and 3. All right, so
Okay, well, this first off doesn't look like real estate, unless you're selling a bar. But
people sell bars.
yeah, I guess commercial real estate. Okay.
That looks commercial too, doesn't
Is
it?
this England?
Could be.
Something like that. Yeah, overall it's too dark. There's no there's no definition in it.
Do you think the problem's Brexit? Is this caused by Brexit?
Most things have been caused by Brexit.
Okay, I thought so.
So, and
This definitely looks Brexit.
yeah, this is a pretty good shot. But again, we had the blue cast happening on the right-hand side and the left-hand
Blue
side,
over here,
and then
blue
yellow
over
over
here.
here. So the color is kind of off from side to side. There's blue in this. Some people, I've said, I don't like the blue on the floor, and critiquing other colleagues' images, and they're like, you're crazy. I like it. So, but I don't. I would have changed that color.
I'm going with you.
And composition is good, pretty good though. That I think that's the best of the 3. On the second one, the exterior, I'm a little curious about why they chose that perspective.
Johan says, is it me, or do the photos on this critique, besides some of the white balance troubles and way over HDR exposed, are way better than the other critiques? Yeah, we had a higher quality, I think, of images. So you've really not been here for like one of the regular ones, but we get a little bit of everything. We'll have like 1 or 2 really outstanding ones, and then a number of them that, well, are not. Okay, so all right, so we got color cast problems here, but these aren't really real estate photos. They're kind of a bar. All right, here we go. These look real estate-y.
Who did this one? I want to know.
We don't know. That's the
Go
problem.
ahead.
I
Go to
want
the
to know
next
too.
one.
That's a cool house.
Okay, you nailed it. Although, okay, I have to make a comment. Can you go to the first one, the staircase? No offense, it's a lovely image, spot on, super fantastic. I don't know why you have a person in motion for a real estate photo. I'm not quite sure where this would be. This is a shelter mag image, or this is probably shot for the architect. I don't think this was shot for the real estate agent. So way beyond good for real estate. The only, I mean, I might, on that first one, back here, might have balanced a little bit more for that ambient light coming in. Yeah. But for an architect or an interior designer, it's more than acceptable.
You know what's nice? The color isn't funky.
No, this person obviously, and it's probably shot with a tilt-shift lens.
Ooh, tilt shift.
And,
can you tell our readers what a tilt shift does and why you might want to consider one for real estate photography?
This is debatable, and I don't find a tilt shift all that advantageous for real estate photography.
For architectural photography?
Architectural, 100%. 100%. What a tilt shift lens does is it allows you to, it's mostly used kind of for like kitchens. So imagine you're looking at a kitchen countertop, right? And so in order to correct for your verticals, you got to kind of get down a little bit lower. So what happens is the top of the island will then meet with the top of the stove, for example, behind it, right? Okay. But you want to be able to have separation between those two.
Right.
Okay. You want to be able to see what's behind it. Or actually, yeah, so there's separation between the two. So what you have to do is stand up to get that perspective, but at that point, you're not getting the bottom of the cabinet, right? You're not getting the bottom of the island. So you take your tilt-shift lens, and then you shift it down, so you're maintaining that separation perspective, but the actual image lowers so you can pick up the bottom of the countertop. So you can maintain perspective, but also include elements. That's
what a
tilt
pain
shifts
in
do.
the butt.
And expensive.
All right. Oh yeah. Okay, we're already over time, so we gotta kind of.
No, these are great images. I mean, that's fantastic. It's beautiful. And I don't know if you lit the tree. It looks like you did a little bit, or you got really lucky with the light. But
Nice shot, though.
those are fantastic.
Fantastic voyage.
Love it.
Okay. This is David, I think.
Hey, David. HDR for sure because of the color saturation.
That looks all HDR.
That's definitely
Same
HDR.
thing here. Same thing
the
here.
first two, the comp is good. Again, with the HDR, what happens is the blues tend to get oversaturated. You can look at it somewhat in the chairs.
Yeah.
You know, that's a little bit blue, and then actually in here too, you got a blue cyan cast in that
Yeah, the whole
area
thing looks
there.
still oversaturated, though. Not just the. That's just from a post standpoint. So maybe if we pulled, let's just see if pulling out just the overall vibrance would help a little.
See, the problem with when you do that is then you muddy things up a little bit. I don't know a solution, and that's why I don't use Photomatics. Why I'll use Enfuse. It doesn't have that shift.
Enfuse.
Timothy
Okay.
Arms.
All right, and then the last
the
one.
comp is good on those first two, though. I don't mind that. It seems a little tight. I don't know what aspect ratio he's using. That looks like it might be cropped to a 5:7. It looks a little tight to me. I could be wrong on that. This one, I don't know what color the ceiling is. Everything is sort of the same color in the room. And I don't know, it actually looks like there might be a flash reflection in the window right there. Yeah, it is. So I'm not sure what's happening here.
You're not loving this one.
This is kind of one of those where it's sort of an overuse of a 1-point perspective. This, I think, would have been better with a 2 or a 3-point.
So shooting into the corner?
Yeah. You'll still get the windows. You'll see a little bit more of the room. This would be a shot for me that maybe the plantation shutters were open and what I was looking at outside was super spectacular.
What about the lens correction stuff? What do you feel?
It looks pretty good.
You're okay with that?
Yeah.
Ceiling looks a little funky to me.
It might be a point
Oops,
off.
wrong picture.
It might-
Sorry. Okay, don't do that.
No, we don't want Safari.
Come on. Let's see how many things I can actually hit wrong. Just give me a second, sorry. It's all right. Let me just give me a second. What happened to where I was?
No.
Why didn't that work? Hold on. Sometimes my
Fingers go
one
funny.
moment. Yeah. Let me go back to here. Let's go to here. Let's see. What I want to see is if backing off. So what's freaking me out about this doesn't bother you.
What is?
Is the outside the window. It looks so fakey. That doesn't, real life doesn't look like that out the window.
That's why I always kind of say, balance for the ambient. You don't need a massive window pull all the time, especially in a situation like this where people kind of don't even know what they're looking at.
That looks more like real life out the window.
Yeah, and let me make a point. Okay, if that was the
doesn't look
case,
real.
okay, whatever you did, you desaturated.
I desaturated just that area.
Right, but it also looks like it got lightened slightly by taking the saturation out. It looks a little bit lighter,
Yeah.
right? So what this person could have done, David, you could have. And I don't know how you controlled the windows necessarily, but you could have had one more stop ambient to help illuminate the room itself and not have it look so flashy by not pulling that window in as much. My philosophy is pull in windows only as much as you need.
And this, what this looks like? It looks like, look, it's really bright on this side of the bed, and then it gets darker and darker and darker. It's really bright right here, and it gets darker and darker.
Well, that's the
over there.
flash.
I know, that's what I'm saying. The flash is a little funky. You're okay with this ceiling? You got no problem? No?
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm not okay with that ceiling.
Okay.
I would have selected it and changed the color. I'm assuming that the top of the ceiling is the same color as the wall, but all this here, the molding, is all white.
Oh, that's supposed to be white?
I'm
Holy
assuming
cow.
from my experience.
Yeah, molding normally is white.
And you can tell down here it's white next to the chair. So that should be white. Now the problem is if you change it to perfect white, which is kind of what you're doing.
No, I'm not done. See, here's the thing about this tool over here.
Oh yeah, you
pick a random number, you make your change, and then you go back and dial in the right amount. And if you this looks gray, does not look right.
No.
So then you can go back and decide how much saturation you want after the fact.
And then
that looks better.
Exposure and all that stuff. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and would this be? Is this the little thing?
Yeah.
Oh man.
All that would be white. That's my assumption.
It looks better white.
Well, it's because it's the way it looks.
You're a rat.
You like that?
Oh, that's because that's how it looks. Well, really? Okay.
I'm a horrible person.
All right, here we go.
Pretty good. I actually would have backed off on the ambient a little bit. I would have brought a little bit more in on the windows. Same here. Overall, they're a little bit too bright for me. That one's pretty good. You could.
And you know what? Look out the windows. It doesn't look bad.
No, you could have lit the bedroom back there.
If that's possible, let's take a brush. Let's light that bedroom. Yeah, we can. Like a boss.
There you go. Something along those lines. Yeah.
We can go a little brighter than that, though, right? Mm-hmm. Somewhere there to balance it with the rest of the room.
And that helps draw our eye out of the frame, and then we'll come back into the frame. Just as a design or photographic design element, it works better.
Yeah, maybe open up the shadows a little bit. There we go. Lovely.
That's good.
All right, so let's look at the difference right there between that.
Yeah.
Hey, can you turn the light on in there?
Sure.
Click.
There it is.
All right, okay. Alrighty, so pretty good overall, though. Just a little bit too bright, maybe a little too punchy.
Bit too bright. It also the ceiling and this one looks pretty blue to me.
Up here.
Yeah, whereas this isn't blue. So I would change the color on that.
You're very big on consistent color and consistent lighting.
One thing about this job is agents want to know what they're getting. Consistency is important. I am a color person. Brian, I love this shot. This is one of my favorite shots. I love it. You're the man. Thanks for sending it in. This is a colleague of mine that I know, Brian McLaughlin.
It's pronounced collegie.
Collegie?
Collegie. It's pronounced collegie.
Collegie. I haven't seen this one, Brian. Nice shot. I probably shouldn't be critiquing it. Now this, unlike the other one that we were talking about, where it was just the chair. No. Remember on the one earlier? Yeah. This can actually go both ways. This could be a real estate shot. It's more of a interior design shot. But he is showing enough of the elements here to have it be a more high-end, atmospheric real estate shot. I know who he shot it for, but that's not the point either. This one,
That's a really awesome kitchen.
It's a really awesome kitchen. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So we got some more comments we're going to get to here in just a second. So this is empty house.
Yeah.
This is the only, I think, empty house shot we have. So it's kind of interesting that you have the vacated house shot.
Oh, can I make a comment? In this one, the shadow off of the chandelier there. That's an obvious indication of using an on-camera flash pointed into the room with the diffuser cap. If you are a Kelby One member, watch the video. I'll tell you how to get rid of that. But that just doesn't look good to me. You need to avoid obvious shadows along those lines, and then plus it's a little bit too bright up in that area itself. So
blue.
Nah, not too bad.
Come on, it's blue as anything. Don't look up there.
Not like the other ones.
Well, yeah, those are more blue. More blue.
And actually, in this composition,
what's going on here? Like purple lines.
That's like chromatic aberration.
Yeah, I was gonna say that looks like a chromatic aberration.
Like CA,
chromatic
like California. I probably would have stood a little bit more to the right if it's hard to know in situations like this. Do you have room? Do you not? But this cabinet on the left-hand side is just too big for me.
Yeah, it's a giant.
I'm really looking at that, and then I'm looking at the chandelier. I'm not looking at anything else.
It's pronounced chandelier.
Chandelier?
All right. What about this bad boy here?
It's not too bad. I mean, it's hard to make vacant houses look good. I can't do it. The only thing I would say, again, we have a color cast issue coming from the... Now, how would you pronounce that? Sconce?
That would be a sconese.
Sconese? Okay, from the sconese.
How would you pronounce that?
Well, you're screwing everything
All right,
else
hey,
up.
we got. I'm sorry, we got to go. Here's why: because we're streaming this live. We also simultaneously stream this live to Facebook, and Facebook's going to cut our feed in a few minutes.
Oh.
So let's just look. You're gonna give just overall. We're not gonna be able to go through each image. You're
Okay.
just gonna go. Okay, what do we got here?
A little bit too flashy and bright, and somewhat inconsistent colors.
All right.
But nice comps and yeah.
All right, so just a little too flashy and bright, but nice composition. And then here we go. We only have a few left here.
Perfect.
Ooh la la.
It looks slightly blue to me.
Is it possible that everything looks slightly blue to you? Is it
Maybe-
possible that you have a pigment?
Maybe I have
issue?
a yellow pigment.
Maybe
in
you do,
my
and it makes
eyeball.
everything look blue. This is somebody's house. They've got like discretionary funds out the wazoo.
Yeah, that's pretty nutty. Look at that fireplace. That's crazy.
What do you think here? What do we got? That's beautiful, right?
That's gorgeous. Nailed it.
And this is a little too blue.
But it really
Nice.
nice. This is good. This looks like it might be some sort of blend as well. You can tell by the cyan cast coming in out of the window.
Aha, the old cyan.
See, that was cyan. That wasn't
That was
blue.
cyan. Wow. Well, that's kind of a blue. All right, here we go.
That's a kind of green.
This is
I would have backed up a little bit more, and so that I could have seen a little bit more of the couch on the left-hand side.
cutting off the couch.
Cutting off the couch just looks funny. Good. That's good. I would actually take the shadows down a little bit more on that one. It just looks a little bit too washed out to me.
Okay. A
I like
little more
the- I-
contrast or something.
Something, yeah.
Something.
I like the bike, though.
Overall, how do you think?
Good.
Good. All right, what do we got here? Empty house.
You want to go back to the first one? Now, this is where I would actually have taken that window exposure down, like what you were talking about. That it just looks a little
Desaturating it.
I would probably use a brightness on it. I would make it brighter, just to match, because you obviously have this full sun streaming in, but the windows are so dark.
Yeah, it
in
wouldn't be that.
comparison.
It wouldn't be that.
Guys, when you're pulling in windows, you want to have it look natural. It needs to be believable too. Sorry, I'm stuttering here, but they'll still see the view. Our eyes will fill in, even if it's a little bit light. See, to me, that just looks a lot more natural.
I got the whole thing there. Yeah, that's certainly, I think.
Yeah. I just see people pull in windows for no reasons all the time. Like, why do you want to see the stop sign across the street? Why do you want to see the neighbor's crappy fence? It doesn't. I mean, I'm not saying that it's in this image, but the same concept applies. Make it. What you want to do. That's too bright for me. But
Hey, but we got a slider up here.
you
that
keep
lets
telling
us
me these tricks.
drop
I'm learning
in.
so much today from you,
You're
Scott.
killing
It's
me. All right.
crazy.
So I think that is certainly better than that.
Yes, I agreed.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So that was that shot. Where were we over here on this one and this one?
Again, a little bit maybe color issues on both. I hate to say it, but that I'd warm it up slightly. The white that I like, and maybe this is what's happening, and this is what I am used to, is the white that I like, where the red is 3 points higher than the magenta, which is 3 points higher than the blue when you're driving by numbers on the info panel. That's my perfect white. If you have 150, 150, 150, your white is going to look blue.
Blue. Your white's going to look blue. All right.
That's it.
Okay, guys, we're out of time. Here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to tell you where to go sign up to try to win these two awesome books written by an author that I could listen to him all day. I think he's just amazing. I love him. He's my favorite. If I had to recommend one author of Photoshop and Lightroom books, it would be this guy. We're going to give away his books here. And where do we go? You go to KelbyTV.com. Where do we go? We go to KelbyOne.com/webcast-contest. So KelbyOne.com/webcast-contest. Go there and tell us your name and stuff, and we'll send you some spam. No, we'll send you the book if you win. Okay, I'm gonna ask you 10 really fast questions, and we're just gonna blast through them.
Let's do it.
All right, do you shoot handheld or tripod? From Sean.
I shot for many years handheld. I shoot with a tripod now because I am doing a lot more with layers than I ever did.
Right. Okay, you can't answer that long. You've answered already way too long.
Yes,
we're going to need another guest.
No.
Jared,
yes and no.
Adjoining rooms, door open or closed?
If you're looking at something nice, open, I say 90% open. Not to see the toilet. Don't open the door so you are looking at the toilet in the master bedroom shot.
All right, let's see. The book of the month in my bookstore in the Netherlands is not one, but 3 books by Scott Kelby. I love that guy. I'll tell him when I see him that you mentioned that.
That's not a question.
No, it's just a statement.
Oh, okay.
But it's a good one.
Okay.
Do your clients want to have some people in the shots, or is it always just the room?
Just the room. And the reason being is that if these images, and I might need to take a little bit more, if these images are going on to the MLS, you will not have those images allowed. They don't allow dogs, they don't allow people because they're afraid of getting sued. No people.
MLS, by the way, stands for Major League. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sconce?
Major League Sconce.
The multiple listing service in America, where all these images go through, and they try to steal your copyright.
It goes through in Spain, no problem. Right. Do either of you guys shoot the exterior with a drone? Well, I always shoot the exterior with a drone, but what do you do, Thomas?
I do not.
He's not droney.
But it is. You drone on, however.
Do you see it becoming a huge part of the industry?
Yes.
And by the way, I heard what you said. Any special comments for shooting foreclosures? Anything?
Good luck.
Okay.
Just do the best that you can. And if the agent is actually listing a foreclosure, don't sweat it too much. Yeah.
All right. Steven has a comment. I'm going to read it because it's awesome. I finally got a chance to read the October Photoshop User magazine. I enjoyed seeing my shot of 3 young male lions on the same pages with some really great photographers, Roy, Sean, and Svetlana. Lots of credit for my photography goes to the instructors at Kelby One. Thank you, Steven. And I saw that shot. That shot is awesome. How do you, well, we already answered that. That's in your video. Are you doing speed lots? We've already talked about that. You always shoot raw?
Always.
Always? No small raw, just regular old raw?
Small raw.
A small raw is a Canon thing. You wouldn't understand.
I wouldn't.
Do you often have to move furniture, flowers,
small raw.
Pictures, or anything like that to get pleasant looking photos? Often.
Yeah. Those small things I'll move. As I said, I'll clean up showers and stuff like that. Sometimes even refold towels, but I am not moving furniture, any of that sort of stuff.
All right. How do you get those perfectly white ceilings without them looking flashed?
A lot of post.
A lot of posts. All right. Well, Thomas.
As an addendum, I don't know how you're using your flash, but if you're using your flash pointed into the room, take that flash, turn it around, take that diffuser cap off, put up the wide-angle diffuser, and bounce it into the ceiling behind you.
So it spreads.
You're turning the room into a softbox. Turn the room into a
softbox.
So you don't have to carry it. Depends on the size of the room.
What a great show. We've completely run out of time.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Thank you so much.
It's been awesome.
I could do this all day long. Thank you for the critiques. Thanks to everybody that sent them in. Thanks to all our sponsors. We got to run because we're streaming out. Peace. Thank you, guys. We'll catch you next time. Can't wait to see your class.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. tgrubbaphoto.com.